Thank you. All the endeavors we made today till this moment are just a preparation for this moment. We were sleeping, we were eating, mating, defending. So much preparation that the attention has a few windows open for dedication. This moment came. And interestingly, it was not all the endeavors we made, showering and eating and yoga. But when we look at it a little deeper, we can even say Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Gyanavanam Prapamante. Many lifetimes were preparation for this moment. Little window that the attention is not completely absorbed with arranging and surviving and, to go a little beyond the practical. Such an important moment. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's verses, such moments we adore with flower garlands. Such moments we put sandalwood paste. I was waiting for such moments. Krishna in Gita, he says, Na me partasi kartavyam trishilokeshu kinchana. He's like preparing the mind for a Nishkam Karma Yogi. With this verse, this means, hey soul, what is binding you in this world is not activity, it's the intention, it's the fear behind. This is make you small, make you so reduced. So you can act without the fear, even without attaining anything. This is such a lightness in the heart will come from this. Everything we do is not for reputation, is not for aggrandizement, especially, when we just hear that the dear sister of us just left 2 hours ago. And this, for what? Doing things, it's activity itself is a room to create a room for absorption of the consciousness. It's not for managing things. This is what Krishna tries to explain to Arjuna, to the Karma Yogi at the very beginning of Gita. Don't buy your activities, don't try to attain anything. It's a different thing. And then Krishna looks and he says, look at me. Name partasi kartavyam trishilokeshu kinchana. I have nothing to do in all the three worlds. What Krishna really is meaning, really creating, maintaining, destroying, just for me, this is like, it's not the meaning of my existence. I have nothing to do. And then he's giving the reason why. Nanavapnam avapnatvam. Because I have no lack. People act and do things because they have inner holes, they have lacking. Oh, I have to fill the lacks. Come on, you're an Atma, there's no lack. Krishna even says, Mama angsa, to you. Mama evangsa jiva aloke. you're part of me. Is there any lacking? So then, that's why I don't have to do anything. I have nothing to do, because nanavapnam, I have no lack, no holes to fill. And avapnatvam, and I have no plan to get anything in this world. Naiva eva karoti, but still I'm acting. So what Krishna is saying here, all worldly motivations for activity fall completely away, but still there is beautiful activity. So what is this? This is Leela. This is loving exchange come when there is no more practicality to do. And normally all motivations to do is towards this world in a certain way, a practicality. But even the soul is invited beyond. We know this. We just yesterday, we had the class about anukul a lot. The definition of bhakti is anukul. It's, I don't want anything, and I don't even want to be relieved from anything. I want something million times more precious. Now the interactional, it should be transformational. This is what I want. Anukul. Naiva eva karoti. Krishna says, still I'm acting. So, and he's looking at the soul who is listening. Can you understand this mood? You also, I invite you for that also. That's why we sit here to hear about Gadadhara. Actually, it's like the fascination of God, I would call it. So, like Krishna gave an example, I have no lacking, I have nothing that I want to attain, but still I'm acting. This means it's a very different quality. I invite you to do the same also. And Gadādhara-kathā means the fascination of God. And still he's looking at us and says, I want to offer you the same fascination. And the path of fascination is called
Rādhā-bhakti.
So this is what we are invited to. And it's very even. It started at the very beginning of Krishna's Earth Leela here, Prakat Leela. Krishna is as a very small baby. Maria Yashoda is just looking at him in the little cradle, and tears falling her. She's like bathing Krishna in the little cradle. Just looking. Krishna is waking up, and more tears are coming because now she sees the beautiful, beautiful long eyes. And Krishna is yawning, and he's rubbing his eyes. And now he looks like Jagannātha because, the kajal on his eyes is like, how very sweet. And more tears are coming from Yashoda. And Krishna's looking and says, what are you doing? And Yashoda, this is the very beginning of Prakat Leela. She is giving a very deep samskara in Krishna's heart. She's saying, you don't know the beauty I'm seeing. I see such a wonderful thing. And this is like, this will be nanavapnam avapnatvam. I think I have something to attain, nothing in this world, but I will go on a journey. And this journey was not even ended in Krishna, in Braj Leela. Couldn't. So explosion, where these little desires at the first few days of Thakurji's being on this earth already was a samskara. We can enter that. So he's saying, oh soul, I invite you to act as I am acting. Not for gaining anything, not to fulfill any holes. And I'm doing like this. It's a very different experience. But he's also inviting us on the path of fascination that he's doing. The Acharyas say many times, it's very easy for Krishna at the battlefield of Kurukshetra to say, Sarvadhanam parityaja. Oh soul, give up all dharmas, give up all callings of this world, because you have only one thing to do. Mam ekam, to me alone, to give everything. Sharanam. But then Krishna is looking around, oh, no one is doing. No one really understood. But then he was thinking about the verse in Gita, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tatadeve tadojana. One should be an acharya. This means teaching by example, because otherwise it has not much effect. So that's why Bhakta-bhāva angikare in the very beginning. Apani karimo bhakta, Bhakta-bhāva angikare. Now Krishna had the idea, I will come to enter the school of Bhakta-bhāva, which is at the very top. It's Rādhā-bhāva. So now we are in the middle of a very, very fascinating topic. But Krishna says, I want you to invite also for the same fascination school that I am in also. This topic is called Gadādhara Saptāha.
Pranam to all, welcome. Good morning, and thank you, Krishna-chandra Prabhu, for your words. I also love that section of the Gita where Krishna is inviting us to Lila, right? Because sometimes to speak about participating in Lila may sound like a very far away thing, but a way to start participating in Lila is doing, as Krishna himself does, acting not out of emptiness, but out of fullness, out of a celebratory spirit. There is so much to celebrate that I cannot keep quiet. So I need to act, but from a place of fullness. Not I need to act to fill my existential holes, but I'm acting out of wholeness with double B, not wholeness with H. And how he prepares the ground in the Gita when he speaks about Nishkam Karma Yoga, it's a way of saying, try to find fulfillment in the action itself is the fruit. There's no separate fruit. It's like a warming up for bhaktyas and jataya bhaktya. No? The fruit of bhakti is bhakti. So you're already doing bhakti. There's no goal to attain, but just a further arrival into where you already are. And there's no end to that. Yeah, to the path of fascination, as you say. Yeah, for God remains perpetually fascinated in a non-narcissistic way. Exploring the depths of his own heart, their own hearts. Going back to the Upanishadic language for a moment, we were talking the other day about Vedanta Sutra and Brahman, the absolute, which again may sound a little bit too terse in English, like terse language, like abstract, Brahman, the absolute. But the Upanishads say, Taittiriya Upanishads say, Rasovaisa. So this saha means he or it, Brahman. Rasovai indeed is rasa. Rasam hyebayam ladvanandi bhavati. And only when you understand Brahman as rasa, you become anandi. You attain bliss. When you know how the absolute is rasa, and then Shastra say rasa sar chamatkar. What's the essence of rasa? Chamatkar, fascination. So the absolute is rasa, or we will say the essence of the absolute, the essence of Brahman is rasa. The essence of rasa is fascination. So the essence of the absolute is fascination. And that's why we consider Gaur Lila this unique Lila, because God is so much engrossed into fascination, exploring the depths of his heart to a point of utter fascination for the rest of eternity. And we are invited, as Krishna Chandra Prabhu say, to follow by example. When we say Mahaprabhu's Lila is Ācārya Lila, sometimes we can get a more Vaidhi-like idea of he came as an Acharya to tell you, chant the name of Krishna and follow this Yuga Dharma and do it. I'm giving the example, yeah, but all of that out of fascination also. He's leading the way by the power of chamatkar, astonishment, wonder, surprise at every moment, at every step. So he's leading the way, he's giving the example. So here we are on Ekadashi, as today Krishna Prabhu was saying. Ekadashi means Eka dash, in one direction, pointing our attention. And that's how many times fascination comes. When we learn to pay deep attention into one specific direction, things start to happen that otherwise we could have never noticed them. Like we were quoting yesterday, Sanatana Goswami saying, if you learn to relate to a blade of grass for what the blade of grass actually is, all perfection is waiting you there. But you need to pay close attention. What's in a blade of grass? Mahāprabhu very quickly, Trinada Pisunij, he saw such a portal there. So anyhow, we are all invited today to attend the program, attend service, offer our attention in the service of fascination, and hopefully continue practicing bhakti for the right reasons, out of fascination, out of celebration. That's the essence of the raga mark. We want to continue doing this because we cannot not do this. No? We cannot stop doing that. That's the real reason why someone asks you, why you're continuing doing this bhakti stuff after 20, 30 years? Hopefully the answer is because I cannot not do it. Śrīla Maharaj referred to Krishna as Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta, that reality whose unique, fascinating attributes are such that I feel irresistibly dragged to dedicate myself in that direction. I cannot not do it. It's too alluring, too much of a magnet, too much of a powerful magnet is calling me there. So hopefully today we engage in Trinu Gaura Gadādhara Charu Katham from that place, because the Katha is Charu, it's beautiful, it's enchanting. So we are invited to offer each of our faculties in Seva, Hrishikena Hrishikesh, all of our sensory faculties, all our dimensions for the Lord of our dimensions, the master of our faculties. So we are on our 5th session of our Gadādhara Saptāha. We have this one and 2 more, not to limit it to a number, just to get a glimpse of something endless. Yesterday we explored a little bit the service disposition of Sri Pandit Gosai, Gadadhara Prabhu. One of the main words that came in our conversation was this word Anukul, as Krishna Chandra Prabhu was pointing, which is quite related to this idea of fascination. And today I like to, with or without your permission, I like to go back to the timeline of Gadadhara Pandit on earth, so to say, how the lila on earth unfolded for Gadadhara Pandit in his Prakat Lila, Bhoma Lila in Jagannath Puri. So far, we explored Gadadhara Pandit's life in Navadvip a few days ago. Then we explored, and just to make a recap, day one, we explored Gaur Lila as a not only doorway, but a goal unto itself, and how the zenith of Krishna Lila made Gaur Lila appear, and the role of Gadadhara is crucial for Gaur Lila to be successful, and Krishna Lila as well. Then we explored Gadadhara Pandit's life in Navadvip, and then we explored Gadadhara Pandit's ontological position, and then service disposition. So now we are traveling to Jagannath Puri all together. Yeah, we go by train from Navadvip. You can if you are in India, you have to have the train experience. So we're going by train to Jagannath Puri, the train of our minds and the train of our sangha. That's the real vehicle, how we can move anywhere. So we are reaching Puri, which will basically comprise the second half of life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we are talking in terms of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has become, Nimai became Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Before was Nimai became a Vaishnav. And there, all the Navadvip was celebrating. Now it's Nimai became a Vaishnav and a sannyasi, and all of Navadvip is crying. And he's moving, as we know, from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri. He's asking Sachimat, a very unusual sannyasi. He just received sannyas, and he's going to ask his mom, where shall I establish myself? So in one sense, it looks like that's not a very strict sannyasi. And that shows how he's, in one sense, yeah, he's a sannyasi, but he's not a sannyasi. He's a mama's boy. In the good sense of the term. The love of such is capturing his heart way above all sannyas regulations and all this stuff. There's many songs, even Mahaprabhu is referred to as a kapata sannyasi, like a cheating sannyasi. No? The devotees from Navadvip especially will say, come on, leave that garb. Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself will say, when will come the day? We have all these songs, right? When, oh, will that day be mine? When Nimai returns to Navadvip but leaves all that sannyas stuff. No? These are the song from the spirit of a Nitya Dhambasi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say like that. So today we are going to Jagannath Puri Lila, to the second half of Mahaprabhu's life, and therefore the second half of Gadadhara Pandit's life. Since Gadadhara Pandit, as we already saw, he accompanied Mahaprabhu everywhere. So Nimai is establishing himself in Jagannath, as we will see. Gadadhara is going to Jagannath Puri and say, I'm taking Chaitra Sannyas. So I don't have to live here, so I don't have to leave him, basically. And as we know, here in Puri, the Rādhā-bhāva experience of Mahaprabhu is becoming more and more deep and intense. So we will explore how Sri Gadadhara Pandit is facilitating that all the way through. As we say, Gadadhara, by the prayers of Gadadhara, Nimai became a Vaishnav, and by the prayers and assistance and guidance of Gadadhara, Nimai becomes the topmost Vaishnavi, relishing Radha's heart. So Gadadhara Pandit, again, is not the constant companion of Mahaprabhu only in Navadvip, but also in Jagannath Puri. I'd like to read a few verses from Caitanya Bhāgavata, which say, in this way, Sri Gaur Sundar danced all night most enchantingly on the bank of the ocean. We are in Puri now, not the Ganga, but the ocean. Gadadhara remained constantly in his close association. There was never any separation between Mahaprabhu and Gadadhara. Which we can all also tell it, like, even when it seems there is separation, there is not. Whether eating, resting, or moving about, going back to God, doing action without needing to do action, moving about, Gadadhara served Prabhu constantly, continuously. As Krishna Chandra was telling the other day, out of the other main associate of Mahaprabhu, for example, in the Panchatattva, Gadadhara is the one who stayed the most with Mahaprabhu. Advaita could visit just for Chaturmasya period. Nityananda Prabhu was sent to Bengal. He could visit only brief periods as well. He would like to stay more, but and Sriva stay more in Navadvip, and they moved with some other Vaishnavas outside even of Navadvip, but Mahaprabhu left Navadvip because it was too unbearable for them to continue living in Navadvip when the life of Navadvip Chandra, the moon of Navadvip, was no longer there. So, so Gadadhara Pandit stayed there all along with Mahaprabhu. Now, of course, one reason is, remember Sachi's request to Gadadhar, please never leave my Nimai. He's a danger to himself. Please take care of him. But also, as we'll see, because Gadadhar had a major role to fulfill in Mahaprabhu's relishing Rādhā-bhāva, becoming more and more successful in his Puri Lila, in this connection. But again, this all began even before Mahaprabhu arrived to Puri, when Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas. And again, we need a whole separate retreat to speak about the sannyas of Mahaprabhu and the inner and outer reasons for that. That's Krishna Chanda gave.
Too painful.
Yeah, that's also too painful. We don't want all of you crying for 7 days. But as Krishna Chandra Prabhu gave a hint yesterday, as Radha is taking sannyas every single night when going on Abhisar, love journey, leaving all behind without looking back. So Krishna is trying to pay back and to enter into those shoes by accepting sannyas. So Mahaprabhu is asking Gadadhara, before accepting sannyas, is asking Gadadhara about it. So again, we can see that on a more external perspective, but on an even more internal perspective, Krishna needs the blessings of Radha to accept sannyas, to follow into her footsteps. Again, it's another way of entering into her shoes. It's another way, this particular viewpoint of experiencing Rādhā-bhāva by accepting sannyas. So we shouldn't see Mahaprabhu sannyas just as on a relative level. Oh, he did that to adjust for the preaching, to get to the masses, because sannyas were taken more seriously. That's it. That's the sannyas lila of Mahaprabhu. No, that's not it. So it's another step into the relishing of Rādhā-bhāva, for the sake of. And on the same way, if someone accepts sannyas as a sadhaka or brahmacharya or grihastha ashram, whatever ashram you accept, it should be anukul. It should be favorable for the inner life. Because apart from that, naham vipro na chanarapatirnapi vaishyanas. Mahaprabhu said, I discard all those upadhis, all that world of designations thrown out of the window, if they get in the way of gopi bhartu pada kamala your dasa. As long as they facilitate that, okay, I have this saffron cloth, this stuff, this other stuff, but just in the service of, right? So sannyas is not for people to serve you. Sannyas is for you, is something you embrace in the service of a higher ideal. So anyhow, Gadadhara was there. Mahaprabhu asked him about sannyas. Gadadhara was there when Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas. Again, Sri Radha witnessing Krishna entering into that particular fire as one chapter of his attempt to relish Rādhā-bhāva, blessing that moment. And then Gadadhara accompanied Mahaprabhu in so many other leelas in Jagannātha Purī. I don't know, in Ratha Yatra, the cleansing of Undicha temple, bathing at Narendra Sarovar, and so many leelas that we know happened in Jagannātha Purī. Gadadhara Pandit was there. And as we say, by knowing that Sri Krishna Caitanya, which basically is another way of saying Krishna consciousness, right? Now, don't forget that, because for those of you who are used to this expression, Krishna consciousness, that's another name for Krishna. That means Krishna Caitanya, literally. Chaitanya means consciousness. So Krishna consciousness movement means the movement of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, which means what was moving him inside, as I like to always say. It's not an institution, a movement. The movement is what's moving him inside, that makes him move and dance and celebrate, that moves others, that creates a whole epidemic, that now we call the Krishna consciousness movement. Someone moved after some other movement, and so on and so forth. So when Mahaprabhu said, I'm going to Puri, Radha, Gadadhara said, I'm accepting Kshetra Sannyas. Kshetra Sannyas means a vow that you made, I'm going to live to a place and I will never leave that place for the rest of my life. So that was the mentality of Radha, again, trying to accompany Mahaprabhu, because she knew, Radha Gadadhara knew, okay, Gaur is going deep now into his Rādhā-bhāva, that will be intense. I need to be there, first of all, to, as we will see, to tutor him, accompany him, but eventually when he's developing his own wings, so to say, taking proper distance, but it's still accompanying him in a mystical way, as we will see. But let's share a few of the leelas in Puri between Mahaprabhu and Gadadhara. One of them is, I mean, we are in Puri. Puri is called Anakshetra. So the place of food, basically. Anna means food, Kshetra means place. So Anakshetra means the place of food. Akanta. So in Bengali, they will use the up to the neck. They will feed you up to the neck. I remember I will always tell this story. Once I was in Jagannātha Purī at the mat of disciple of Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Maharaj, and I used to stay there a few times with Muni Maharaj. His name is Bhakti Parvat Muni Maharaj, and he will, every time we went there for some days, there was a day that he will get Jagannath Mahaprasad. Again, we need another retreat to talk about Jagannath Mahaprasad. I mean, there's so much to say there. So one day he will get all these pots that they offer directly to Jagannath, and we'll have like Jagannath Mahaprasad in bigger quantities. So he will feed us, and again, he lives in Puri. He's very much into how these leelas, eating leelas, happen in Puri between Mahaprabhu and his associates. So feeding us and joking with us and feeding us again, and we were just like, okay, I start to have difficulties to breathe. He's coming, and there are so many more pots. You are looking all those pots, and you are expecting. So there are 50 more people coming. No, it's for the 7 of you. And we're like, okay. He keeps putting, and there's something very strange in the good sense of the term with Jagannath Mahaprasad. It's something mystical. There, you can realize this is not just, I mean, not to make other prasad ordinary, but they're by Shishya, right?
Anna Brahman.
Yeah, exactly. It's the absolute in the form of absolute on your plate, served on a golden plate, on a leaf plate in this case. But at one point, I could take no more. I mean, this Brahman in food form, but Brahman is that which expands and which makes other expansive. So I'm praying, Brahman, make my stomach expansive so I can honor more of you. But there are limits to my capacity to integrate Brahman in my life. So I say, Maharaj, and I use this word akanta. Akanta means like neck, like what's it, how do you call this part? Neck. Yeah. So an akanta means like up to the neck. Like I cannot take it anymore. He tells me, open your mouth, Maharaj. It's like, wow, now we'll have some lila. I won't show any universal form here. Open your mouth. He looks, it's like, no. You know what's he said, do you know what's akanta? Akanta means that you open your mouth and I can put my finger and touch the food that you have. But I see there's a lot of space. You know, his source. Anyhow, just all this for you to know, we are at Jagannath Puri. That's the land of, there's no akanta allowed there, it seems. So that's it. Yes, and I'm still here to tell the story. Somehow, Jagannath Mahaprasad, his mercy allowed me to digest his mercy in another way. Sometimes we pray to Krishna, give me mercy to honor the mercy you already given me. Okay, give me mercy to honor this mercy that has already been given to me. Right? Jagannath Mahaprasad ki jai. So there are many leelas of Mahaprabhu with his devotees honoring Jagannath Mahaprasad, and it is mentioned that this was one of the favorite leelas of Mahaprabhu, to go to the house of his devotees and honor prasad there. And again, prasad is not just food, as we try to remember every time before the meals. We honor with these mantras, carefully selected, and I always like to remember also this beautiful lila, this not connected directly to Gadadhara, but to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And it's interesting because there's one verse in Caitanya Charitamrita, let me share it with you, it's here. It says, Gadadhara Pandita and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, each of them have fixed dates every month in which Sri Chaitanya went and accepted his invitations. When Gadadhar or Sarvabhauma invited him, Mahaprabhu did not have independence. It's like, tomorrow you are coming for lunch. There's no choice in the matter. Even if he had already accepted another invitation for that day. Okay, you will have to eat double tomorrow because you are coming. Mahaprabhu accepted their invitations according to their desires.
They always say, at Jagannath you eat 56 times a day. So no problem, you can come.
Yeah. You're Brahman, the expansive one, so you have space. So this verse mentions Gadadhar Pandit and Sarvabhauma. And there's one nice lila that I like to always tell about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in terms of what prasad means. And it's this lila after Sarvabhauma was converted by Mahaprabhu. Remember, he was still he was a Bahiranga Bhakta, but converted. But before being converted, he was Jnani, basically. So Mahaprabhu, after conversion, goes the next day to his house, like at 2 in the morning or something. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was sleeping, drooling. I remember he was, before the conversion, was a very strict Brahmin and doing everything at the proper time, proper direction, all the rules, all the mudras, all the Hari Bhakti Vilas in place. Remember what I say anytime? Okay. You have confirmation. Just for you to know that I'm not lying. I say something about you in Italy, about what your feelings related to Hari Bhakti Vilas. But that's another conversation. Properly and proper. I explained it properly.
Yeah, I know.
They came. You can see it. They did not say, I'm not going.
No.
So Sarvabhauma was very much rule-oriented before his conversion. So Mahaprabhu wanted to check how much converted this Sarvabhauma actually is. So he won the next day of his official conversion with Sarvabhauma had darshan of Mahaprabhu and Sadbuch and all these revelations. He comes 2 in the morning with Jagannath Mahaprasad. Like imagine like that's the room, Sarvabhauma is sleeping there. Mahaprabhu just opened the door and comes with Jagannath Mahaprasad. Hey, Sarvabhauma, hey. No? So Sarvabhauma is like waking up and realizing Mahaprabhu is bringing like Jagannath Mahaprasad. And again, in his usual previous existence, he will say, no, first I have to take a bath and do Achaman and recite my Sandhya Bandhan and be properly purified and finish my morning duties. Only then I can honor Jagannath Mahaprasad. But Sarvabhauma was happily converted. And he just, as Krishna Chandra did, from the bed, without taking out the blankets, without washing his feet, open and Mahaprabhu put the Mahaprasad. Which for me is a nice lila in the sense that the idea of Mahaprasad means grace. So it means grace cannot wait for you to be purified. It just jumps on your bed. And you will say, but I'm so fallen and I'm so polluted and I'm not purified enough. And grace said, just open your mouth. No? And that's how you became pure, not the other way around. First, let me become pure and then accept grace. No. Open your mouth, open your heart to grace. And that's how real purification begins. So for me, that's a very graphic lila of this principle of what Jagannath, the grace, the universal grace of the Lord of the universe, which is indiscriminately distributed everywhere. So anyhow, lots of prasad lilas in Puri. And apart from Sarvabhauma, Mahaprabhu loved to go and take prasad from Gadadhara Pandit. No? And again, Gadadhara Pandit is Sri Radha herself, who in Krishna Lila, she's cooking for Krishna on a daily basis, as Krishna Chandra was telling the other day. There is this unique, great, not excuse, but legal reason for Radha to go every single day to cook at Nanda Bhavan for Krishna, because she has been blessed by Durvasa Muni that whatever she's cooking will taste like nectar and will give Krishna, who is the heir of the throne, in, so to say, in the village setting of the cowherds, he's the heir of Nanda Maharaj's throne too. He needs to have a long life, healthy life. And Yashoda knows, Radha's cooking brings all that amrita, all this nourishment, and so she's sent every single day to cook. I mean, the wife, quote unquote, overtly, the lady married to someone else, going to cook for a man, another man who is not her husband, overtly again. But it all happens because Yashoda is the queen of Raj, who will go against the queen. She has a very good reason. Durvasa Muni gave the blessing. You don't want to get Durvasa Muni angry on top of that. So my point is, Krishna is eating every day whatever Radha is cooking for him. So once the devotees say Krishna is God, as yesterday we're reading from Radha Kripa-kataksha Stotra, God is like impacted by love. God wounded by the arrows of Cupid. God weakened by love. So whatever strength Krishna gets is from the cooking of Radha. No? Krishna is God weakened by love. Now comes Radha's cooking to give him proper strength. So nobody can compare to her in terms of cooking seva. And again, naturally here in Gaur Lila, we have these similar dynamics. Gadadhara Pandit cooking for Mahaprabhu, Atota Gopinath. So it's a way of also, remember, Gaur Lila is all about Radha as Gadadhar feeding Krishna her bhav. So the cooking is part of that. Because when you cook for someone you love, you're pouring your heart there. It's like a way of extending your bhav, your heart to that person. So but Gadadhar cooking for Mahaprabhu is a way also facilitating his entering into Rādhā-bhāva by feeding him. And another way of feeding, another way in which Gadadhar Pandit is feeding Mahaprabhu on a daily basis is through Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā. So I'd like to go there for a moment. Maybe we'll spend some time there, hopefully eternity. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, right? That's what the Bhagavatam itself invites us to. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Serve this Bhagavat to the endlessness of the rest of forever. So Gadadhar Pandit is depicted as giving daily Bhagavata-kathā to Mahaprabhu. Imagine what that might be. Let's go to a Bhagavatam class. Who is giving the class? Sri Radha. Oh, who is the student in the audience? Sri Krishna. What must be that Bhagavatam class? Every day. And every day Nitya Navadip also. Just for you, I'm sending you some spoiler, but also some bait. No? In Nitya Navadip, there will be daily Bhagavat class given by Gadadhar Pandit and Mahaprabhu and all his associates, including us, will be listening Bhagavat from Sri Radha. The Bhagavatam is all about Sri Radha, so that person, in relation to whom the book is all about, she's the one who knows better than anyone how to explain the Bhagavatam. So Gadadhar Pandit is the guru of Mahaprabhu, the Bhagavat guru. Mahaprabhu has many gurus. He has Diksha guru, he has Sannyas guru, Ramananda Roy is a guru in different ways in terms of Raga Marga as well. So Gadadhar Pandit is one more. Again, we are talking about God here, having many gurus. Generally we say Krishna is the origin of the parampara, the first the Adi guru, but he has his gurus. Radhikar Prema Guru, Ami Sishyanata. The Prem of Radha is my guru, Radhikar Prem Guru, Ami Sishyanata. I'm a dancing student. I'm in her Prema Vidyalaya, in her school of divine love. I'm learning the new steps of dancing every single day. Every Bhagavata-kathā Gadadhar is giving, Mahaprabhu is learning a new dancing step to dance according to the rhythm of love. So Radha, again, in this setting, Tota Gopinath, Radha is teaching Bhagavatam to Krishna, which is also connected to one desire that Radha has to fulfill in this connection as well. Remember, Gaur Lila is not just only to fulfill Krishna's desire of tasting Rādhā-bhāva. There's multi-dimensional world of desires here. So for Radha, there will be nothing more beautiful than to openly sing Krishna's glories, which are sung in the Bhagavatam. But she cannot do that in Braj Lila in the open. It's a little bit complicated. So now comes the chance to facilitate that in Gaur Lila. It's Gadadhar Pandit explaining on a daily basis. So Gadadhara, to make a play of words, Radha's Gadadhara is given tuition to Mahaprabhu, so then he can have some intuition. First comes tuition, then intuition. First some guidance and teaching and orientation, and then some proper experience. And again, this continues in Nitya Navadvip, so there is no end to the tuition and the intuition and exploration. So by the teaching of Bhagavatam, Gadadhara is further instilling bhakti samskars into Mahaprabhu. Rādhā-bhāva samskars. Here's Radha teaching the Bhagavatam to Krishna, instilling Rādhā-bhāva samskars, helping Krishna's Mahaprabhu to further enter into Rādhā-bhāva. So this is also the greatness of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, right? Like when Krishna himself needs to know about bhakti, he has to study the Bhagavatam. Sometimes people may ask, like, why they have to study the Bhagavatam to know bhakti? Well, ask Krishna. He has to do the same thing. He wants to know what's bhakti. What does it mean to be a bhakta? Because again, I'm the Vishaya Lamban of bhakti. I want to taste what it means to be a bhakta. Okay, go to the Bhagavatam class. Especially for all of us. What does it mean? So anyhow, this is going on a daily basis in Jagannātha Purī, at Tota Gopinath. And there are a few nice things mentioned in Caitanya Bhāgavata in this connection. Many things we could say. But for example, there's this emphasis that Gadadhara Pandit will explain Dhruva Charit, 4th canto, and Prahlad Charit, 7th canto.
We're just studying Prahlad's prayers.
You just studied Prahlad prayers.
Yeah.
Here. And Mahaprabhu will hear those narratives, which are again not yet 10th canto, super deep esoteric stuff, apparently. But again, Mahaprabhu, how Gadadhara, how that teaching is conveyed by the lips of Gadadhara, how that's received by Mahaprabhu, that's another dimension. So Mahaprabhu will hear the Leela of Dhruva Maharaj and he will say, Gadadhara, again, tell it again. No, don't go to the next canto, tell Dhruva Charit again and again. And Chaitanya Bhatt say Mahaprabhu will request 100 times, again. Insatiable, again, say it again. Then Prahlad Charit, 100 times, and again, and again. Which has many levels of meaning here. One will be, of course, before rushing into the deepest sections of the Bhagavatam, where there is a clear unfolding of the text, make sure that you are properly internalizing all the foundational elements that give you a proper orientation to bhakti. So when you reach to a place like the depiction of Raja Leela, you can properly understand it for what it is and serve it for what it is. Because we want that so badly, we want to make sure we are approaching there properly. But of course, in a deeper way, we could say that Mahaprabhu was asking, tell it again and tell it again, because the Leelas of Dhruva and Prahlad, especially Prahlad had to go through so many obstacles in his life, right? I mean, your father wants to kill you when you are 5 years old. That's quite complicated to me, and tries to kill you in so many ways on a daily basis. So that's even more complicated. So an obstacle, another obstacle. So Mahaprabhu is trying to taste Rādhā-bhāva. I'm part of Radha, the experience of Radha on a daily basis, to go through so many obstacles to meet with Krishna on Abhisar. And the willingness to have so much opposition, family, society, everyone suspecting from you, your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law, your husband, all this, can make so many conspiracy theories around that. And despite that, she's Ekadash. Is the term. So Mahaprabhu, while here in Dhruva Charit, which also Dhruva has to go through his own obstacles, Prahlad Charit, he's processing that in the context of Rādhā-bhāva. Like, let me be, all this is Udipan, all this is nourishing me in the spirit of embracing, going through all these many obstacles. There is even a beautiful, I don't have it here with me, but a beautiful series of verses that Anantadas Babaji will quote. I don't remember from which Padati, I think, which depicts Sri Radhas on a daily basis, like practicing walking on like wet floor,
on
thorns, like training herself for the next abhisar, the next love journey for her to, and relating to snakes and other wild animals of the forest, so she can be successful on her mission. So she's really training herself to be able to give Krishna's pleasure whatever he needs. No? So anyhow, this is one of the reasons why Mahaprabhu asked to Gadadhara again, Prahlad Charit, again, Dhruva Charit. No? And it is described that generally when Mahaprabhu and Gadadhara and his associates are listening to the Bhagavata, maybe you've seen this beautiful picture that was commended by Prataparudra Maharaj, which shows Gadadhara Pandit teaching the Bhagavatam, Mahaprabhu listening, Nityananda is there, Haridas Thakur is hanging a gamsha on the back. That's a nice one. And Prataparudra Maharaj is on the front offering Dandava. So this is the king of Puri, requesting, please do a painting of this and put me offering Dandavat below everyone, offering Dandavat to all of them. And put Haridas Thakur hanging a gamsha. That gives a touch of intimacy. It's good, no? Like here we're on, someone comes there and puts the gamsha, it's family. It's like I say the other day, we were talking with Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj. When Prabhupada, Śrīla Śrīnivāsa went to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada received him in gamsha. Welcome. Gamsha brings intimacy and informality. That's it. That's the point here. So in these gatherings, it's said that during the Bhagavad recital, at one point, the exchange and the modes were impossible to contain. So the Bhagavata-kathā like erupted in kirtan. I mean, the Bhagavata-kathā is in itself a form of kirtan, as you clarified some days ago, which is a very important point. Because sometimes we think kirtan only means, I don't know, going out to the street to get new members. Okay, that's kirtan. For others, kirtan is getting together to enjoy our senses aesthetically through fancy melodies and rhythms. For some other people, kirtan is you have to finish your daily 16 rounds, and by force you will be taken back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. It's whatever. And of course, japa and sankirtan properly done and conceived is kirtan, but Bhagavata-kathā is kirtan. In fact, Rupa Goswami mentions the 9 main bhakti angas, and the Ācārya of kirtan is Sukadeva Goswami. And we never hear Sukadeva Goswami playing kartals, chanting japa. He was speaking the Bhagavatam. He's Ācārya of kirtan. And sometimes he will go so deep into that kirtan that he will lose consciousness, and they need to bring mridanga and kartals to wake him up. From that kirtan, they invoke another kirtan. So one kirtan takes you in another kirtan, and then you are taken out from that with another kirtan. But it's all kirtan. Kirtaniya sadahari.
And that second kirtan is even a disturbance for the first.
Yeah, what to do? Yeah.
I have not also seen where Mahāprabhu said, "Oh, I was somewhere."
Yeah, why you brought me here? What's that? What's that noise? What's that noise? So there are kirtans and kirtans, right? So it's important that whenever we invoke kirtan, hopefully it's in a way that we are not disturbing any other kirtan that may be already taking place in a deeper place, because that can be the case, right? But in this case, it was a natural unfolding. Mahaprabhu, Gadadhara, and his associates were sharing Bhāgavata-kathā, kirtan, and that naturally the sharing reached a point that the only non-negotiable option was to start to sing and dance and celebrate. But naturally, again, not like, okay, now stop, now you play harmonium, you play. No, they were just like, and at one point the kirtan reached such a height, they felt the need to sit down and reflect with one another what just happened in that kirtan. And then probably after that one there was so the idea here is that one form of kirtan transport you to another, as long as it's not a disturbance to any one of the former kirtans. But again, that gives us a glimpse of these statements in the scripture, Kirtaniya sadahari, forever doing kirtan. And you're like, forever? How it's possible? Satatam kirtayantamam. No, non-stop, eternal kirtan. Yeah. Katayantas chamam nityam. Krishna says in the Gita. My devotees are perpetually speaking about me. No? So we may get a little nervous, but all day speaking. Yes, it's possible, but also speaking and singing and sharing, and this at one point everything becomes kirtan, because kirtan ultimately is celebration, celebratory movement. There's a nice verse that I like to share. I have to share this verse, sorry, and we may get lost and found in this one, which is composed by Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj. That depicts Srila Gadadhara Pandit's Bhagavata recitation to Mahāprabhu. It's like a pranam mantra to Gadadhara Pandit. Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj composed it as an introduction to a book that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a book called Bhagavad-Arkamarichimala, which is 1,000 verses of the Bhagavatam that Bhaktivinoda Thakur chose. From the 18,000, he selected 1,000. From the son of the Bhagavatam, he selected 1,000 rays. From that son, he compiled them in this book, Bhagavad-Arkamarichimala. Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj wrote an introduction to that and composed a verse in pranam to Vyasadeva and one verse in pranam to Gadadhara Pandit, the original speaker of the Bhagavata, so to say. So I may recite the mantra and say a few words. Yeah. It says, Nilam bodhita te sadasva vidaha Kshepan vitam bandhavam Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā madiraya sanjīvayam bhātiya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam sada sanayana ashrupayanai pujayam Swami pravaro Gadādhara vibhor bhuyatmade katgati. So we need, another retreat in Anandadam for this verse. So we already have booked the next 5 years for the themes for the next 5 years retreat. Yeah. I mean, we need eternity for all this, and we're happy that eternity is on our side. It's waiting for us. It has enough spaciousness. There is eternal time. So that's what eternity is for, right? For those of you who are feeling anxious, oh, it's too short. This is a trailer of eternity. So Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj says that very beautifully and poetically. Nilam bodhi tate, on the shores of the blue ocean, which means Jagannātha Purī. Nilam bodhi. Bodhi means ocean. Nila means blue. Tate, on the shores of the blue ocean. This is Tota Gopinath. He's bringing us to Jagannātha Purī, Bhāgavata-kathā between Gadadhara and Mahāprabhu. For those of you who saw this painting, you can have that painting as a mantra-maya upasana, visual. Nilam bodhi tate sada sabiraha shipambitam bandhavam. So here we have Krishna experiencing swabiraha. That's a very interesting expression. Krishna Mahaprabhu is experiencing separation from himself. Because it's Krishna in the mood of Radha experiencing separation from Krishna. So in that sense, Krishna is experiencing separation from Krishna. That's a poetic way of putting it by Śrīla Śrīnivāsa Maharaj. Swabiraha. So here we have Mahaprabhu tasting Rādhā-bhāva in separation. Remember, the main angle of experience that Mahaprabhu is cherishing is viraha-bhāva, separation. He's deeply desperate to be empathic with Radha's pain in separation for him. What's that quality of love? So it's Gaur Lila is a lot about separation, especially in Puri. And so he's dying in separation. while relishing, this is no joke. No, it's not like, again, oh, I will taste like a chocolate. No, I will taste Radha's Viraha-bhāva. Are you sure? No, so he's dying in that, because there are 10 symptoms of vipralambha or separation. The last one is called mritti, which basically means death. Doesn't mean that you die, but you feel like dying in separation of your beloved. So Mahaprabhu is in that death-like state. On the shores, he's on the shores of the blue oceans, on the shores of death, experiences separation from himself. So it's an urgent situation. Someone needs to bring him back to life. So Kshepambitam Bandhavam. There is a Bandhava. Bandhav means a friend. Gadadhara Pandit. So here we have Gaur on the shores of the blue ocean, dying in separation, accompanied by his dear friend Gadadhara. And how is that dear friend supporting his dear friend? Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā Madiraya Sanjīvayam Bhatiya. So Śrīla Śrīnivāsa will give the example. It's like a friend comes to the tavern, to the bar, and he's heartbroken. Oh, my wife just left me. No, my life has no meaning. I want to kill myself or whatever. I'm depressed. And the other friend say, come on, sit with me. I'll get you some wine. I pay. Here, 2 bottles. Drink something. Śrīla Śrīnivāsa will give that example, right? To make it relatable for us. But he's using the word, he's making the word wine also, Madiraya. So he's giving wine. Gadadhara is, this friend, Gadadhara, is supporting his other friend, heartbroken friend. Krishna, Mahaprabhu is heartbroken because he's experiencing Rādhā-bhāva. So he's in separation. So he's giving wine to support his friend. Which is the wine? Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā. You think it's a book? It's wine. You think you're opening a page? You are opening a bottle. No, like the Sufi mystics, other tradition will use this analogy of the tavern, and the wine is the divine intoxicating substance of divine love, and we are to enter that tavern forever. So Śrīla Śrīnivāsa is using this Sufi symbolic analogy. Gadadhara is giving the wine of Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā, shlokas, different verses, carefully selected, like a connoisseur of wine, right? Like those who know how to select wine, and they can just smell the wine and know, oh, this was done, these grapes were cultivated in France in 2 centuries ago, just by smelling. Connoisseur. So Radha Gadadhara, the connoisseur of the Bhagavatam. So knowing which verses to invoke to make his friend survive the ocean of separation, relish it on one side and survive it on the other. It's a very surgical-like work, very delicate. So you need a friend for that. Remember, Gadadhara were friends like we never heard before. So he's given this wine, which in one sense is intoxicating, it's nourishing, and it's bringing Mahaprabhu back to life. Sanjivani Bhatiya. Sanjivani is like an Ayurvedic term for this medicine that brings the dead back to life. Like this herb that Hanuman had to bring back to make Lakshman return, like just put in the earth, bringing him back to life. So Mahaprabhu is bordering death, and he's bringing. So Gadadhara Pandit is speaking the Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu from that place. And then the third line, and we're being brief here, again, just summarizing the verse. We have eternity on our side. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam sada sanayana ashrupayana pujayam. Every line gets more poetic. Śrīla Śrīnivāsa is saying, now Śrīmad Bhāgavatam sada sanayana ashrupayana. So from the eyes of Gadadhara Pandit, tears are coming. But the comparison is pujayam. He's worshipping the Bhagavatam with his tears. Sometimes in some Bhāgavata Saptāha, people will worship the Bhagavatam and do artik to the book and offer different ingredients before opening it. So Gadadhara Pandit's puja, he doesn't need the separate elements. No, he doesn't need water and a conch shell. No, it's already coming. Or sometimes the tears are compared to flowers. And one will offer flower petals to the Bhagavatam, Each tears coming from his lotus eyes are like lotus flowers being offered to the Bhagavatam through his lotus tears. These are lotus tears. No? So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Sadasvanayana Ashrupayana Pujam. So that's how Gadadhara Pandit performs Bhagavat Puja, Puja to the Bhagavatam. I will get there more later in the next session when Gadadhara is teaching Bhagavatam to Śrīnivāsa Ācārya in his last day. Yeah, it's coming, it's trailer. And the last line say, Śrīla Śrīnivāsa of praise to Gadadhara Pandit and offers pranam Swami Prabharo Gadadhara Vibhut Bhuyat Mad Eka Gati Ekadasi Ekad Gati. So may that foremost of all the Goswamis, Goswami Prabharo Gadadhara, bless me too. And he makes this poetic connection. Before he spoke about how from his eyes will come like currents of tears while worshipping the Bhagavatam, and he concludes saying, may I enter that exclusive current myself, the current that comes from Gadadhara Prabhu, and swim in that current forever. No? So Śrīla Maharaj concludes saying, the current that comes from what he feels by reading Bhagavatam, may I enter into that current and swim there for eternity. So a little depiction of this moment of Gadadhara Pandit speaking, feeding, as we were saying, feeding Mahaprabhu in another way, not only with Mahaprasad, but the Mahaprasad of the Śrīmad Bhāgavata Mahapuran. And here we have another meaning in connection to what we just said. We can make another interpretation of the name Gadadhara. Remember the one we made yesterday? Remind me, please. Gadadhara means the holder of the mace. So in this sense, how it applies to Gadadhara. What we say yesterday?
Yes. Completely smash Krishna's all the position of him, and he just becomes a servant of Śrīmati Radhika.
So there's another one. Sanskrit is on our side for this, because as you know, in Sanskrit, one word can have many meanings. So Gada means also poison. Poison. And here we, instead of saying Gadadhar, we can say Gadadhar. No? And Adhar means lips. Adharambrita. No? So poison, lips. What's coming? So in this verse that we just read from Śrīla Śrīdhara Maharaj, Gadadhara is giving Mahāprabhu the Bhāgavata-kathā, the wine of Bhāgavata-kathā, to help him to cope with the separation, to bring him back to life. But in one sense, one could say, again, externally, that what Gadadhara Pandit is giving to Mahāprabhu is like poison, because how Mahāprabhu reacts to that. Reacts foaming, you say? Foaming, like having seizures, contracting, expanding, perspiring blood. It looks like someone gave poison to him. All this Asta, Sattvic, Vikar, and beyond, Mahaprabhu is expressing, becoming totally mad, drinking it. So, which of course the poisoning is the aggravation of Vipralamba, which at the same time is what Mahaprabhu is here for, to taste Rādhā-bhāva in separation, as terrible as it looks on the outside. And again, as we were talking these days, every time we talk about this, we want to do it in a way that none of you feels horrified by that. And scared by that. We're talking with Anurag the other day. We have to make sure all of you want to remain a Gauḍīya Vaishnava after this Saptāha. So it's very important to go beyond the outer form and discover the paradoxical bliss found in this sweet suffering in separation. And Krishna Chandra was quoting Caitanya Bhagavat. Haven't learned the verse yet, please. The one you were telling the other day. That says, even if you don't recall the Bengali, but
Vaishnava, if you put all the happiness of all the world on one scale. But then one drop of separation from a huge ocean of separation on the other scale. Paramananda Sukha. Please know that this weights much, much more. Because here in this external world, we make a difference. This is agreeable, not agreeable. This is to relish, and this is not to relish. But this is completely beyond.
Non-dual.
Non-dual. Yeah. Even in Gopi Gita, Gopi say, katam, tava katam, mritam. It's the same.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport to that. Yeah.
Oh, you. Tava katam, mritam, tapta jivana. You know, there's some persons who wander around and who give Dava Katam, who give the Amrita, the nectar of your Katha. But Vishwanath Thakur comments it, Dava Mrita. So this is the
serial killers.
Yeah, because, you know, we had a wonderful, peaceful life, and now this Katha is coming, and
everyone is crying and rolling on the ground. So anyhow, trying to clarify all these things so none of you become horrified about the idea, and we can gradually train our mind to think literally non-dually. I mean, this is ultimately the meaning of Advaya Gyan Tattva. Reality is non-dual, and that means it can include things that otherwise will be contradictory and oppositional, like suffering and happiness. And here suffering is sweet. You know? So there's a possibility of that. So going back for a moment to Gadādhara, I have a few words that I would like to share from a common friend, Tamal Krishna. Once in a conversation with him, he says something very nice, and I have it written down in this connection, poetic. He said, my own thought is that Sri Gadai Chandra, Gadadhara, is like a Bisha Kanya. Bisha Kanya means like a poison maiden, sent to conquer a powerful king that no army can overcome. Because the assassin girl is raised on a diet of snake venom, she suffers terribly, but also develops a high tolerance over time. Finally, to kiss her or even come too close to her breath can kill a strong warrior or king. So Sri Radhika has known such profound pain of separation that when, as Gadai Chandra, she speaks of it directly to Gaur Krishna, the touch of that katha topples the great Purushottam from his throne of absolute autonomy and makes him roll on the floor like a beggar, utterly conquered by contacting the poison of those lips. So a little expansion of the idea of Gadādhara. Some silence. Yeah.
Can you read once more?
Again? Yeah. By the way, Tamal doesn't know I'm sharing this, so those who are seeing this recording, maybe Tamal is in this recording. I told him we were going to have a Gadādhara Saptāha. He was like, my own thought is that Sri Gadai Chandra is like a Bisha Kanya, the poison maiden sent to conquer a powerful king that no army can overcome. Because the assassin girl is raised on a diet of snake venom, she suffers terribly, but also develops a high tolerance over time. Finally, to kiss her or even come too close to her breath can kill a strong warrior or king. So Radhika has known such profound pain of separation, such snake venom, that when, as Gadai Chandra, she speaks of it directly to Gaur Krishna, Bhāgavata-kathā, the touch of that katha topples the great Purushottam from his throne of absolute autonomy and makes him roll on the floor like a beggar, utterly conquered by contacting the poison of those lips. Which again brings it back to Gadadhara, like the holder of the mace, utterly conquered by contacting the poison of those lips. So, full circle. So anyhow, yeah. Bodhi, Lilam Bodhi Tate, the shore of the blue ocean.
The end of the blue. It's Krishna's end.
Mm-hmm.
Where this all happened. Just for telling, it means Krishna is
Crossing that threshold and entering the Benon kingdom. Mm-hmm. That's a nice reading. Thank you for that. Such beautiful contemplations, right? That's why, despite whatever happened in my life, I'm still here, praying to remain a Gauḍīya Vaishnava. So anyhow, in this way, Gadadhara Pandit will feed Mahāprabhu on a daily basis, giving Śrīmad Bhāgavata Mahaprasad, Śrīmad Bhāgavata-kathā. And Mahāprabhu will receive the lesson, the tuition, and then he will go to Gambhīra and try to do his homework there.
Practice.
Trying to practice what he received from Radha Gadadhara, trying to embody, internalize in Gambhīra, and he will hear Mahaprabhu's crying, and he's experiencing this, and he's hitting his head on the walls, and all the things that, again, look horrible from the outside. So this is very paradoxical. And one says the topmost paradox, that we need the highest non-dual level of thinking to accommodate that. And sometimes people think, oh, the extreme, the radical non-dualists are the followers of Shankara and Advaita Vedanta. I say that even in radical personalism, but now it's coming. Radical non-dualists are the ones who develop such a non-dual hosting capacity that they can accommodate something that looks the most undesirable thing and realize this is the most beautiful thing happening. So Gadadhara will speak Bhagavatam, Mahaprabhu will go back to Gambhīra, doing his homework, and Gadadhara Pandit will be in Tota Gopinath, witnessing the progress of his student by having darshan of Tota Gopinath. We'll be talking more about that in the next session, which will be only about Gadadhara and Tota Gopinath. But how through the darshan of Tota Gopinath, Gadadhara is seeing how in the distance, how Mahaprabhu is progressing in his relishing, entering Rādhā-bhāva. And well, besides speaking Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, as we already mentioned, and besides worshipping the deity, Tota Gopinath, also to say another service that Gadadhara Pandit received from Mahaprabhu was to give Diksha. And from there we have a Diksha line coming from Gadadhara Pandit called the Gadadhara Parivar. I'd like to share two more. We have a few minutes.
Yeah.
We still have eternity on our side. Okay. Sekadashi. So I'd like to share a few other leelas. We are exploring Gadadhara Pandit's life in Puri with Mahaprabhu. So going back to, apart from Gadadhar service, speaking Bhagavat, Gadadhar services in relationship to Tota Gopinath, we will go more in detail in the next session, but one little leela that is well known is the moment when Mahaprabhu wants to leave Jagannātha Purī and go to Vrindavan. He tried to do that a few times. It didn't work. On the last third is the charm, as they say. No, I don't know how charming that was, but he had to try a few times to get there. And when he's leaving for Vrindavan, Gadadhara is following him. Remember, Gadadhara had accepted Kshetra Sannyas, which means you are not allowed to cross
The border.
the border. No, you're breaking your vow. And Gadadhara is just walking very boldly. No Dakshin Bhav here. Bhamya Bhav is coming for a moment. And he's just willing to break his vow. And he breaks the vow, literally. I mean, he goes beyond the border. So he makes his point. Now, Mahaprabhu is saying, But no, you are worshipping total Gopinath. And Gadadhara will say, to see your lotus feet is worthy of 1,000 Gopinaths. That was Gadadhara's reply to Mahaprabhu. Yeah, to see your lotus feet is more than worshipping 1,000 total Gopinaths. All the Gopinaths are there. Yeah, but you make your vow of Kshetra Sannyas. You are not supposed to live Nilachal. Gadadhara will say, wherever you are, that's Nilachal. That's my dham. That's my Nilachal. Like when once also when Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas and he was cheated and taken, saying, "Oh, we're going to Vrindavan," and he's nearby Advaita Acharya's house. And I said, "Advaita, what are you doing here in Vrindavan?" And Advaita said, "No, we are not in Vrindavan." "Oh, I was cheated. I thought it was in Vrindavan." And actually Advaita said, "Well, wherever you are is Vrindavan." You want
That's just to hell with all my vows.
Yeah, that's what he said. Oh, let my kshetra sannyas go to Rasatao, he said, to the lowest possible hell. Though we will another conversation whether those hells are there or not. But to hell, that's an expression.
Go
to
away.
hell with my vow. Imagine, right? To hell with my sannyas vow. Oh, there is something beyond that. What we were saying before, right? So Gadadhara is making that point. As we say, generally Gadadhara's temperament is more, as we say, Rukmini Bhav in terms of Dakshin Bhav, submissiveness. But in this particular lila, we see a little bit more of the Bhamya Bhav of Radha or Satyabham, if you want to make that connection in terms of, to make a few points, important points, in terms of, again, you are my Archan, you are my Dham, you are my Nilachal, you are my Tota Gopinath. And my vow was in the context of being with you. No, that was his. I accepted Kshetra Sannyas because I thought you were not going to live Puri. Now you're living Puri, I'm living my vow. Which makes an important point, which is following rules or accepting vows are not in them unto themselves the goal. You are following that as long as it's helping you to fulfill your purpose. The moment the vow gets in the way, be ready to break your vow. No. And again, I'm not here saying do crazy stuff, but I'm saying I once heard the Dalai Lama saying only those who know how to have followed their vows properly, the rules properly, they know when to break them. So this is that criteria. No, rules are to be followed with a purpose, but when you follow them properly, you realize which is the goal of the rule. No? What's the verse? Smarta vyasa tadam vishmur vishmarta vyanajatuchit sarve vidini sedasur tayor eva kinkara. So always think about Krishna, never forget Krishna, Vishnu, the omnipresent one. The one who appears in between each pair of gopis. Always remember him, never forget him. All rules and regulations are in service to this idea, to these two principles. Implying whenever the rules and regulations get in the way of that, you know what to do with them. So that's say Gadadhara took that stance, but Mahaprabhu forbid Gadadhara to accompany him to Vrindavan. So he sent Gadadhara back to Jagannātha Purī. But he had broken the vow, so he made the point. So, and imagine this situation, Śrīla Samraj will say, imagine this situation. Gadadhara is Sri Radha. Sri Radha is the queen of Vrindavan, and the queen of Vrindavan, the peculiar position of Vrindavaneshwari, the queen of Vrindavan, she's not allowed to go to Vrindavan. She's not allowed to go to her kingdom. The queen has been banished, so to say. And Gadadhara prayed for permission. Mahaprabhu did not give permission. No, stay and live here. Don't break your vow. Worship Tota Gopinath. And again, still Gadadhara for some time walked behind Mahaprabhu. And cross the line and broke the vow to make the point. So at one point, Mahaprabhu stops and looks back and says, okay, you made your point. Yeah, okay. Now you go back, please. You made your point. You broke your vow. You make the statement you want to make. It's clear. Now, please. And there's a verse that he says here, I have it, the verse here said, you have realized the objective of breaking your vows. That's an interesting way of putting it. You realize your objective of breaking your vows and abandoning your service. So Tagopina, you made your point. Now, if you come with me, Mahaprabhu said, that will make you happy. Right, Gadadhara? Yeah. But you want your own happiness or mine? Oh. If you desire if you wish my happiness, Mahaprabhu say, then return to Puri and resume your vows again. That's all I have to say. That was Mahaprabhu speaking with Gadadhara.
This is always a good trick, this argumentation.
You want to make me happy or
Yeah.
you to be happy?
But also, Mahaprabhu knows already Vrindavan is a touchy field. Because
And now we will go to the reasons why Mahaprabhu say no. Right?
Yeah.
No, you're starting. No, you start. No, you start. Because everyone now is wondering why Mahaprabhu said that, why he was so cruel, why treated Gadadhara like that, why Gadadhara cannot go to Vrindavan. Maybe that will help him there with his purpose. Why not?
That's a cliffhanger. Wasn't there a similar scene also with another associate of Mahaprabhu, but vice versa? He wanted to send out there was another associate of Mahaprabhu, and there was a similar conversation, like just what we heard.
Jagadananda Pandit? That he wanted to go to Vrindavan?
And he wanted to send him to Vrindavan.
Yeah,
Lokanath Goswami.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also he took the same, he said also, yeah, do you want my, or something like that.
Yes.
If my service means that you must go or something. It was just, to, as I said, a cliffhanger to make us a little bit more excited on the following conversation.
Thank you. So why Krishna Mahaprabhu say no?
I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're not internet. There's never an interruption.
Just already
A confirmation of how in tune you are, that you are anticipating what I was about to say. So that's even an ornamentation.
Okay. If a drunkard goes to the previous places, some samskaras come back. So it's a dangerous area. So now,
Deepan.
yes, Sri Krishna tries to relish Rādhā-bhāva. Now he is going to the place, Sri Brajabhumi, where many previous samskaras are like very close to come back. This is the reason why Mahaprabhu didn't stay long in Vrindavan. This is the reason why Mahaprabhu didn't stay a night in Vrindavan. Because the nights, for bhajan, these are the time where so many things are coming up. Mahaprabhu went out, stayed the night out of Braj, then next day entered Braj again. Because many samskaras came up. What to speak if Śrīmati Radhika would come, then there wouldn't be Gaur Lila anymore. So suddenly, the very, very deep explosion of Radhika's heart and Krishna's heart would regress in one way towards Braj Lila. So that's why Mahaprabhu was so strong, and even using a very tricky argument. You want my happiness? So this is always a good thing in spiritual circles. If I want to push my...
to manipulate other people.
Yeah. So, and even when Mahaprabhu, sometimes he's sitting at Imlitala. This is the way.
That's another retreat we need, Imlitala.
So, he's there, and now observing from the point of view of Rādhā-bhāva, everything, and it became so strong at this place where 5,000 years ago Krishna was sitting under this tree and Śrīmati Radhika in Mansarovar, and he had so much intensity crying it. separation, absorption in Srimati Radhika, suddenly his whole being became golden. So now he's sitting there in Rādhā-bhāva, trying to relish Vrindavan from the point of view of that what Srimati Radhika experiences. But sometimes so much absorption, and it was like a flashback. Krishna became like blackish, he became like Shyam. And this is the moment he knows, I think I cannot stay too long in that Vrindavan. I better go to a little more secure environment where the tendency of falling back is not so strong. Tota Gopinath garden. And I get the guidance there from Radhikas, from Gadadhas, Harikatha. I go like this. Vrindavan is too dangerous.
Sometimes we hear Vrindavan can be too dangerous for us, and Krishna himself is saying Vrindavan is too dangerous for his own good reasons. Thank you. Anyhow, these are the reasons why Mahaprabhu took that strong stance, which again outside can be seen as cruel. At the same time, it highlights Gadadhar's this willingness to break all vows, very much in the spirit of Radha, breaking all vows and social considerations and notions of dharma for the sake of. But of course, at the same time, Gadadhar knew the reasons why Mahaprabhu said, please stay here. And that's why, with fainting in between, return to Jagannātha Purī and Tota Gopinath. These are the deepest reasons. Of course, on a more relative level, someone will say, no, Mahaprabhu thought, people will think that it's my fault that I made Gadadhar break his vows. On another level, someone will say that Bhagavan never wants to see his devotees break their vows. He prefers to break himself the vows that he did, as we know in the Bhagavad-gita. Nami Bhakta Pranashati. He asked Arjuna, you say it, I cannot say it, because if I say it, my devotee never perishes. No one will believe me, because I keep breaking my vows for the sake of my devotees. But yeah, the deeper reason is what Sri Chaitanya Prabhu just shared with us, right? And also in connection to the time in the Gambhira, you mentioned that also in connection to the presence of Gadadhara somehow creating an how to say it, an unnecessary situation. Is that similar why when Mahaprabhu was in the Gambhira, more and more and more Gadadhara disappear more and more and more. The example you gave from your Guru Maharaj in terms of this lady who lost her husband, and one is going there and then someone else lost. So
She cannot pacify.
Yeah, she knows what it feels to be there, so she can just be there. Radha knows Gadadhara knows what Gaura is feeling in the Gambhira, and there is no much to say in support at that point, so to say. Let's go back for a moment to Gadadhara Pandit Dakshin Bhav, and we'll conclude with one more lila that we've briefly touched upon yesterday, I think, which was in connection to Balav, which is other well-known lila happening in Puri. And again, let's make a little clear from our perspective that we do not think that the person there is Ballabhacharya, the main acharya of the Pushti mark, as sometimes it's explained. I personally take it more like, okay, Chaitanya Charitamrita, as well as others, is a hagiography, and a hagiography is a biography of a religious figure. And many times in these hagiographies, you tend to depict the religious figure as conquering every other religious figure of the time, like a Digvijay. Like whomever he met, everyone was like, and all the great teachers, and every other lineage is saying the same in the other way around. So everyone, but it was more, not necessarily that they literally believed that, but it just was a way of conveying and writing in the form of praise. So that's my personal take. I don't know.
Or it can also be another person.
Yeah, of course. That's what I also take. If you want to think it's Vallabhacharya, I will take it that way. But for me, it's some Vallabha. They are endless, whomever that person was. So as we were saying, no, Vallabhata is described sometimes. Let's call him Vallabh. Or let's call him. We can give him a new name if you feel more comfortable. Sorry. So Vallabha, as I said the other day, he was going to Mahāprabhu and his associates very eager, like, please read the commentaries I wrote on Krishna's names, for example. I wrote all this, that you have to read it, you have to read it. And at one point he went to Mahāprabhu. Many names of Krishna have commented on Sri Caitanya, please read. And Mahāprabhu very interestingly said, I only know 2 names for Krishna. That's it. He quoted one verse, Tamala Shamala Tuishri Sri Yashodastanandaye Krishna Namno Rudhiriti Sarvashastra Vinirnaya. I only know that Krishna is known as Tamala Shamala Tuishri, that he was like Sham Sundar, whose hue is like the Tamal tree, Sri Yashodastanandaye, and he's the one who like drinks milk from the breast of Yashoda. That's the only thing I know. Like again, he tried to humble Balav, like make this contrast of you are coming with all the look, all the thing. I only know these 2 names, and then you see what those 2 names are doing to him. So you start to land back to earth a little bit. But yeah, that moment, that was not the moment for Balav yet. So he keep insisting, and all the devotees, as we say, were starting to laugh at him to the point that he felt like a duck among swans, as they were saying. And in the context of this situation, somehow Gadadhara took pity, not pity on him, but in his Dakshin Bhav, he was willing to entertain Balav a little bit. And Mahaprabhu didn't like that, and he got angry with Gadadhara. I mean, not angry, but he was like, he took a stance trying to bring from Gadadhara more of a Bhamya Bhav. But Gadadhara was, again, very submissive to Mahaprabhu, very submissive to to Balav. And Bala was almost like, okay, you Gadadhara, read all my commentaries. And Gadadhara Pandit was more like, internally saying, Mahaprabhu, you know that I don't want to read this. But this guy is just imposing himself on me. And due to my nature, I'm agreeing to hear that. But you know what's in my heart. Which is a nice lesson also. That sometimes we may find ourselves in complex situations in life, or even compromise situations, and we can always say, you know what's in my heart. As long as we are not using that as an excuse, of course, no. But sometimes we need to resort to that situation. Okay, I'm in the mix of this complicated situation. I wouldn't choose to be here, but Bhagavan, Bhagavati, you know what's in my heart, right? So interestingly, they say by that type of openness and tenderness and submissiveness, the mood and devotion of Gadadhara attracted Bala more and more. So from him trying to impose his own commentaries and writings onto Gadadhara, eventually he felt inclined to not only hear from Gadadhara, but ask him initiation. No? That's also an interesting turning point there. How Gadadhara Pandit's attitude, well, that sincerity, you know Mahaprabhu, what's in my heart, eventually created a transformative experience for Ballabh himself. No? So he asked Gadadhara, can you give me mantra? And he said, I'm not independent. I have to ask my Prabhu, Gadadhara Prananath, as we are singing today. And if he says yes, I agree. So Mahaprabhu agreed to that. And there was happy ending between Ballabh and Gadadhara. And again, after all this, remember that Mahaprabhu had been a little bit like distant from Gadadhara when he was with Ballabh. Because again, Ballabh was kind of a harasser to the whole Sangha. And somehow Gadadhara was the only one who was giving some space to that. So Mahaprabhu had taken some, being a little bit like indifferent to Gadadhara. But eventually, after all this happy ending, Mahaprabhu told Gadadhara, actually, I wanted to poke you a little bit. No, I wanted to. I actually orchestrated the whole thing to extract some Bhamya Bhav from you. No? no? But you didn't do it. Like Radha again, like Radha in Krishna Lila, many times she's this contrariness, and many times there are even verses in Caitanya Charitamrita that say that Radha's unsubmissiveness and contrariness and all this back and forth before the actual union between Radha and Krishna, before the actual consummation, all that preview gives more pleasure to Krishna than the actual embrace, so to say. No? All this like crookedness, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, but again, Gadadhara is not submitting to that because actually he knows, no, you are the one supposed to taste all that because you want to taste Rādhā-bhāva. So if I start to do that too much, I'm bringing you out of your own project. So he's insisting on the daksha, even though sometimes a little bit of that may come, like the Kshetra Sannyas situation we mentioned. And it is said that at that moment, Mahāprabhu, when he witnessed that, he says, there's a verse that I like to share to conclude. He says, I wanted to cheat on you, Mahāprabhu tells to Gadadhara, like in this poking, but you never became like nervous and you never entered into this contrariness. You never replied to me in anger, but you very patiently tolerated everything. Your mind never was agitated through my tricks. And by remaining fixed in your simple nature, you have conquered me. So it's another way of, again, saying, but you remaining in your role and allowing me to, as Dakshin Bhav, you're actually giving me blessings to taste the Bhamya Bhav of Radha. So I'm more and more conquered by you. Even we could say that even when my Krishna Bhav comes for a moment, I want to tease you as I do with Radha, you're not doing it. No, you're fully there facilitating my experience. So I'm fully conquered. I'm Gadadhara Gauranga, so to say. So in this way, we can see what we said yesterday, how Mahāprabhu is becoming more and more conquered by Gadadhara Pandit, no? And more indebted by the loving disposition of Sri Gadaya. So anyhow, I wanted to share some leelas of Puri between Gadadhara Pandit and Mahāprabhu, and in our next session, which will be today in the evening, actually, in Ekadashi, we're having double Gadadhara-kathā. And we will be focusing on Gadadhara Pandit's connection with Tota Gopinath. We just touched upon briefly today, but and the last days of the life of Sri Gadadhara Pandit as well, briefly. We'll touch upon that. And tomorrow we'll have the last session in the morning about the adoration of Gaur Gadadhar, trying to bring everything put together, hopefully. And so I won't say Sri Sri Gaur Gadadhar Ki Jai because I don't want to put Krishna Chandan aside. There are any questions, anything you'd like to share in connection to what we were sharing this morning?
I haven't thought through this much, but just the last bit you were talking about the Bhāgavata-kathā. Just wondering why, like Gadadhara didn't need to keep that, because it's not something that Mahāprabhu wants to experience.
What?
The Bhāgavata nature.
Yeah.
Or are there situations where Mahāprabhu is also like, experiencing that, what Radha experiences?
When Mahaprabhu is in Bhāgavata?
Yeah, like Mahāprabhu in Bhāgavata, are there situations like that? Or I'm just like wondering why Sri Radha had to give that up also as Gadadhara.
I mean, I can say something, but I've spoken too much. So
I just feel Gaur Lila is the Prakosh, is the dimension where Radha and Krishna are serving the Braj Prakosh. So this means
because you
Prakosh
clarified
is the
dimension.
Yeah. So this means it's not that in the dealings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his devotees, what we find is just extreme loving and extreme loving surroundings, because they are like sadhakas worshipping them. So under sadhakas, under brothers and sisters, there's an extreme love and support to them. So it's not that the very deep Braja bhavs that Mahaprabhu is really like experiencing this. And this with Gadadhara at the end, I was thinking, it was so kind of Gadadhara. Here is like a little disturbance coming to Puri, a person who is making a little, with an arrogance. Can you imagine now suddenly someone comes from the forest and they stop the class here and read my book, Said, can you be a little peaceful? And I said, no, you have to read my book. So, and then we would like to continue that Maharaj, can continue the Gadādhara-kathā. And then suddenly Tribhanga.
Please, yeah, full enacting.
Just that this guy is not disturbing. He's embracing him and says, can you come in my house? And I listen to you. Tribhanga will be very bored. He will better stay here. But he's just like, as a seva. So I felt it's very sweet of Gadadhara of doing this. And externally it looked like, he felt this. Or maybe Mahaprabhu is not happy if I walk away with him. But inside it's like an example of someone who is listening his own conscience. He's not a follower. He's just, I feel what I should do now. And it enhanced the greater seva surrounding when Tribhanga is doing this. And then later, Mahaprabhu is very touched. You brought Tribhanga, then convinces that guy that he also wants to listen about Gaur Gadadhara.
And even the guy asked Tribhanga mantra and became his disciple. Your first disciple, Tribhanga.
So it shows something about Radhika's bhav, because I'm also a disturbance in this world. Somehow my chance is to come close to Gadadharji, and maybe there can happen a transformation with me also. So, but I never felt that Mahaprabhu, the very deep bhavs of Radha and Krishna, they experience more internal. So, they don't express a Vamya bhav or, towards the devotees, because now it's Bhakta Bhava Angikare. They are like in a mood of being servants to them. And this is so important. Under the servants of the Lord, this is the deepest friendship. So there is not like aggression and putting on the side. And I feel this in Gaur Lila very strongly. But maybe you can.
No, that was. And I appreciate your point of Gadadhara being willing to make that sacrifice for the nourishment of protection of the mood in the Sangha, so to say, right?
Is it massage Jatila's feet to make it possible? You were also thinking that? There's one lila where it is told that they want to go on Abhisar, but it is too dangerous because Jatila, she always creates obstacles and it is dangerous to go out. So Radha, she stays behind as the only one. Radhika goes with the other maidservants on Abhisar, but Radhika does this service. She stays behind and massages Jatila's feet. So Jatila sleeps peacefully, and she doesn't notice anything that Radha is actually leaving the house. It came up. I don't know. This is a little bit of smoke. Futter, also du kannst gerne
No, I
Breakfast
thought it's taking care of the disturbance.
Someone has to.
Yeah.
Now it's time. Shri Shri Gaur Gadadhara Juki. Sorry, so painful to say that. That is sweet pain, sweet pain.
Now, whenever I sing Jai Gaur Gadadhara, then I feel of an ant of something. And
Yeah. You're reaching a threshold, but there is something else behind. Yeah, it's always a threshold. A threshold. Satsanga ki jai, Sri Ekadasi ki jai, Gaur Premanand, Hari Hari Bol.